Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Lekan Onanbanjo. The headlines at this hour. Commuters stranded as heavy downpour floods Lagos State. South Africa inaugurates government of national unity. Egypt's new government takes oath of office before President Al-Sisi. Details come your way shortly. News Central Now at this hour begins in Nigeria, where the Nigeria Meteorological Agency has predicted thunderstorms and rains from Wednesday to Friday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook released in Abuja predicted morning thunderstorms on Wednesday over parts of Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Taraba, and Adamawa states. Thunderstorms are expected over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Kwara, Kogi, Plateau, Benue, and Niger states in the north-central in the morning. Later in the day, thunderstorms are expected over parts of Plateau, Nasarawa, Niger, Kogi, Kwara, the Federal Capital Territory, and Benue states. According to NIMET, morning rains are expected over parts of Lagos, Ondo, Delta, Ogun, Abia, Rivers, Edo, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River states in the southern region. It anticipated high prospects of continuous rains for Lagos, which might lead to flooding. Meanwhile, in April, Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, issued a warning that the state is set to face abnormal rainfall this year, according to him. Now, a total of 1,936.2 millimeters predicted rainfall has been predicted for the state. Now, this can be backed up by the amounts of rain seen in the last few days, accompanied by lots of floods in Lagos State. News Central's Bettina Nwili reports.
This week, Lagos has been battered by relentless rain and severe flooding, throwing daily life into chaos and sparking serious concerns. The torrential downpours began early Monday morning and have hardly let up since, inundating several parts of the state and causing widespread disruption.
Not even possible, no.
The process of converting the wetland into livable space was done in many areas exceedingly irresponsibly. But the process of that reclaiming now impacted so negatively on the capability of that wetland to get rid of the water when the heavy rains come, because that's what the wetlands were doing in years gone by. But we now went and broke that cycle in many areas in Lekki by blocking what should have been natural areas for passage of the rainwater.
Vehicles that cannot withstand the pressure of the rain break down, contributing to the already abnormal traffic. News Central's correspondent reported severe flooding at Yanowaru Olopomeji, triggering a massive traffic snarl stretching all the way to Alakpere bus stop, Wemco Junction in Agege, and in Shomolu.
I discovered here is a little bit down.
Oh, okay.
And the gutter, I don't know how deep that gutter is.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think the water see enough space. Because and even there's enough space, I don't think the water will leave the gutter to enter inside the compound.
The economic fallout is staggering. Markets and businesses in the hardest hit areas are closed, resulting in crippling financial losses. While some flooded areas and canals are finally being cleared, experts argue that a proactive approach could have mitigated this disaster.
What you sow is what you reap. So you, individual out there, for your neighbor's sake, do not throw your plastic on the road again. Even if you have to put it in your pocket, put it in your pocket. My God, until you find somewhere where you can put those little plastic bags in a safe place, some kind of dustbin like this. Because if you throw it on the road, it's going to go and block the drain. That can now cause flooding, which could end up killing somebody, and you will get the consequences.
On July 1, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency issued an alert on its X handle, predicting a significant surge in rainfall intensity and frequency across northern and north-central states. The agency cautioned citizens to brace for more downpours in the coming days, urging everyone to stay informed with weather updates and take necessary precautions. Despite the challenges, the resilient spirit of Lagos remains unshaken as residents eagerly await decisive action from the government to rescue their state. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Well, joining me on the news to discuss this is the Executive Director, International Climate Change Development Initiative, Olumide Idowu. Mr. Idowu, it's nice to join us. It's nice to have you join us on the news to talk about this.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
So let's start this way. Now, this rain and flood patterns played ugly in African countries like South Africa, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, and the likes last year. Now, Nigeria seems to be gradually picking up the patterns again with the volume of rains this year. Should we be worried about a more pronounced climate change shockers this year?
Yeah, definitely. We need to be very worried. And, as we know that climate change is a global issue that can have very impact on different regions. And we have been seeing it across the world, even across Africa. So the increased rainfall, the flood pattern experienced in some African countries last year actually also showed the current volume of rain Nigeria could be, attributed to as a climate change. So while it is important to monitor this pattern, it is very important and it's very difficult to predict that certainly the extent of climate change shockers for this year. So, however, it is, advisable to stay informed about climate change and its potential effects, and also to take appropriate measure to mitigate and even adapt to any changes that may occur. And this starts from you and I to be making sure that we are taking care of our environment to prepare ourselves for the rainy days. Thank you.
Yes, I'm actually glad you talked about putting in place mitigating plans, rather, to actually mitigate the impact when we see floods and rain downpours like this. Now, you see how heavy rains have actually resulted in severe flooding in parts of Lagos. For a metropolitan city like that, wouldn't you have expected some sort of drainage systems or maybe through channels to dissipate rising surges of water, of course, to have that as top-notch in terms of what the government should have done, and of course have that in other states too in Nigeria?
Yes, it is indeed unfortunate that heavy rains have caused severe flooding, across the part of Lagos State, and nobody is safe again. So as a metropolitan city, one would expect that the drainage system and through channel to be, efficient in as much as possible. We need to now start looking at the rising surge of water, the way it's coming. So, however, let us also look at it. It is also very important to note that managing flood in a different way with this kind of population city like Lagos can be a complex challenge. And factors such as the rapid, urbanization, looking at inadequate infrastructure, and even improper waste management, as Dr. Desmond said in the statement over the last time, can also contribute to the inefficiency of drainage system in Lagos. So it requires continuing investment. It requires planning and even maintenance or to ensure that the drainage system can effectively handle heavy rainfall and also prevent flooding for the coming days. And we need to start looking at it from now so that we can prepare ahead and get informed and well prepared for the future of rain that is coming in the coming days.
I'm more concerned about the involvement or the roles that citizens play, because you discover that people are so prone to, dumping refuse in waterways and in drainages and not properly disposing their leftovers or their bottles and consumables and stuff that are being used. So what approach would you necessarily say would be needed in order to bring about probably a cultural reorientation in these regards?
Yeah, to bring about cultural, orientation and even addressing the issue of citizens contributing to flooding is very, very important. Where people are still dumping of their.
All right. I think we just had a network glitch there. Having Olumide to talk to us more about what needs to be done to mitigate the impact, not only on the part of government, but also what citizens need to do so as to most especially prevent flooding in and around states. We hope that we can bring him back to talk more on this before this bulletin elapses. Now, let's talk about security. The frightening security situation across Nigeria topped the agenda at the National Assembly on Wednesday, with the lawmakers shocked over heinous suicide bombing attacks that took place in Goza town, Borno State, on Saturday, June 29, 2024. At the Red Chamber, for instance, debates at the plenary were on for several hours, with the lawmakers declaring that the country was on fire because its security system had collapsed. The lawmakers blamed the recent suicide bombings in Goza town and Borno State on the failure of intelligence on the part of security forces. These were the sequel to a motion moved by Senator Ali Ndume on a suicide attack in Goza, Borno State by Boko Haram insurgents.
If we have been talking about insecurity, government out, government in, week out, week in, month in, month out, year in, year out. And we are still confronted with the menace of frequent attacks on our communities and the killing of vulnerable, defenseless civilians. Then, Mr. President, we want to ask ourselves the salient questions and then appeal to government to take the bull by the horn and be the government that will solve the problem of insecurity in Nigeria.
Previous service chiefs diverted money to build universities in their various communities. Those are the kind of resources that should have been used to procure modern technology. And to think that money was being diverted to non-essentials. And as we speak, those institutions are not teaching anything about security. They are just another glorified university.
At least we have brought up something very serious here, that we should also employ a lot of technology. The technology, you don't need to be physically there. We can monitor from miles away to know when there is likely going to be an infraction in security. And also, what happened there could also be described as failure of intelligence. Because we have so many suicide bombers gathering together, it means we've not penetrated their camps. Otherwise, we would have known that they were going to strike. So preventive security must also be emphasized.
In the meantime, Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, says civil-military relations form a key factor in peacekeeping and as such cannot be overemphasized. General Lagbaja was speaking in Mangun district of Mangu local government area during the commissioning of projects as part of activities to mark the 2024 Nigerian Army Day celebration hosted by the 3 Division Maxwell Kobe Cantonment in Jos. News Central's Chizoba Anyanwe, who is on the entourage of the Army Chief, reports that the commission projects include 3 renovated and fully equipped classrooms, 1 computer room, new convenience facilities, and motorized 10,000-litre capacity water boreholes in Mangun district, Mangu local government area. Another 2 classroom blocks, a convenient facility, and 40,000-litre solar-powered borehole were commissioned in Horse Community Secondary School, Riyom local government area of Plateau State.
Let me assure you that Army Headquarters funding of this and similar projects is not to give political leverage to any of our senior officers in benefiting communities. Our intention is to foster civil-military cooperation, to enhance cordial relationships and build trust in a manner that enhances our operations and training activities.
The Ogun State Police Command says 4 abducted travelers on the Shagamu-Ijebu Expressway on Sunday have regained freedom. The spokesman for the State Command, Omolola Odutola, disclosed this in a statement on Wednesday. Odutola said those rescued along Ogiri axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway by the anti-kidnapping team of the State Police Command included a Nigerian and 3 Indians. On Monday, the Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Alamutu, ordered the anti-kidnapping unit to launch a manhunt against the hoodlums who attacked and kidnapped the travelers. The gunmen were said to have ambushed the travelers between Shagamu Area Command of the Nigeria Police and Ilishan Township. Moving on now, senators from the southeast have pleaded with President Bola Tinubu to order the release of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Led by Senator Enyinaya Abaribe, the lawmakers claim that unless Kanu is released, the social and economic activities in the southeast region will continue to be stagnant. The senators held a closed-door meeting with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, where their letter to the Nigerian leader on the release of Kanu was delivered for onward passage to the presidency. Addressing journalists after the meeting, Abaribe, who spoke on behalf of his colleagues, lamented that the economy and social life in the region had suffered enough due to the continued incarceration of the Biafra national agitator. The former Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has dismissed claims that lawmakers are overpaid, saying their monthly take-home pay is inadequate to sustain them. The former Speaker, while speaking during the House of Representatives' open week session to mark their first legislative year anniversary, says that there is a need to clear the air over the take-home pay of federal lawmakers.
I don't know whether they have increased it, Mr. Speaker, but when I was there, my salary was not up to 400,000 naira a month. So a young man in my constituency said, "What is this thing about number 4 in Nigeria? You mean this is your salary? I can even hire you to work for me." So you see, even when we talk about the allowances that people think they are humongous, too much money. Mr. Speaker, forgive me, the House will forgive me. Let me say this, and I'm saying it because it is the truth. My allowances, everything as a speaker then, was 25 million naira. I don't know if Alhaji Atiku is here. He was my accountant. I asked him, open an account for this money because I know that this money is not mine. Expectation from the constituents, expectation even from the members that think, oh, you are first among equals, so you should have more than the equal. And honestly speaking, there was never a time I took 1 naira out of that account home.
And we go on a short break on the news. We still have more to come your way. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says it has declared a state of emergency on oil production. It said the move was geared towards increasing Nigeria's crude oil production and growing its reserves. Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC, Mele Kyari, disclosed this in a keynote address at the opening of the 23rd edition of the Nigeria Oil and Gas Conference and Exhibition Week in Abuja on Tuesday. According to Kyari, a detailed analysis of assets revealed that Nigeria could conveniently produce 2 million barrels of crude oil per day without deploying new rigs. He added that the war will help NNPCL and its partners to speedily clear all identified obstacles to effective and efficient production, such as delays in procurement processes, which have become a challenge in the industry. Earlier, energy consultant Seun Daniel was on the news and gave an expert's view on this.
We've seen over some years, I think I saw back 2005, before that, Nigeria was producing well over 6.1 million barrels a day. So as we are now, without any reduction, I believe that most of the oil fields have actually increased their production. And if not for the security situation in the Niger Delta region, pipeline vandalism, oil theft, and the cases of illegal refineries that significantly hamper our production capacity, Nigeria definitely can produce, and we are able to get, a lot more than that. I believe that even with OPEC, we demanded for slightly over 2 million, and yeah, we have the potential, evidently.
Elsewhere, the European Union has announced plans to strengthen economic ties with Nigeria and attract new investments through a sustainable investment facilitation agreement. This was made known by the European Union ambassador to Nigeria and the ECOWAS, Samuela Isopi, at the 9th edition of the Nigeria-EU Business Forum in Abuja. News Central's Joshua Imarai has more.
The 9th Nigeria-EU Business Forum, themed Investing in Jobs and a Sustainable Future, took place in Abuja, the nation's capital. The forum brought together prominent business leaders and industry experts. The representative of Nigeria's Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment urged participants to capitalize on the opportunity to identify solutions to the challenges facing the country's trade and investment sector.
It is imperative that we work towards addressing challenges and identifying innovative solutions to enhance the business environment. By leveraging on each other's strengths and fostering mutual cooperation, we can unlock new opportunities for trade and investment that will benefit our countries, our economies, and the livelihoods of our people.
Also in attendance was the European Union ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, who announced the EU's plan to improve economic relationship with Nigeria and bring in new investments.
And we are developing several training and fellowship programs and supporting private sector developments, in particular tech enterprises, via easing access to finance. All this is done in a Team Europe manner with the EIB, with other banks from the European Union.
Stakeholders at the event urged the federal government to implement policies that will attract foreign direct investment into the nation's economy.
So what we need to do is to ensure that we put policies in place that will motivate capital holders to feel confident in investing in our economy.
If anybody is interested in foreign direct investment, you have to start with NACIMA, because we are also part of the network of 177 chambers of commerce in the World Chamber of Commerce Conference. And that is why most times, and unfortunately, when our public officers travel, instead of going with the private sector, they go as government officials. The government does not do business.
The European Union ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS also commended Nigeria for paying up the backlog of debts owed to European airlines to the tune of about $850 million. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Talking about governance in Nigeria, Nigeria's House of Representatives says that it has identified a total of 1,310 ministries, departments and agencies of government which needs to be scrapped or merged to resolve issues of duplication of functions and inefficiency. This was made known by the chairman of the House Special Committee on Restructuring of Government Agencies and Commissions. Idong Joseph tells us more.
The recent announcement by the federal government to implement the Stephen Oronsaye report, expected to reduce the cost of governance, has recently generated diverse reactions. The report, which was published in 2012, highlighted several recommendations aimed at restructuring government agencies to enhance efficiency and reduce cost.
The fact that the Oronsaye report has been approved and adopted by Council today does not mean that people will lose their jobs. All those who are employed, whether they have been moved, subsumed, or scrapped, will find accommodation within relevant government agencies. Nobody is going to lose his job.
Mr. Speaker, I seek the leave of the House.
Nigeria's parliament has joined the conversation, saying it is important to revisit the recommendations as well as other white papers to ensure they align with current realities and changing needs of society.
The world is evolving rapidly, and it is crucial that our government agencies and commissions are structured in a way that enables them to deliver on their mandates effectively and efficiently. Through this review process, we aim to identify redundancies, duplications, inefficiencies, and areas of improvement within the federal government agencies and commissions.
Lawmakers say they will conduct a thorough review and called on stakeholders to engage with the parliament to make inputs that will improve the process.
And we are now open to taking memoranda from all concerned ministries, individuals, departments, agencies, parastatals, and everyone.
They add that the essence of the review is to ensure that the report, which was received by the federal government about 12 years ago, when implemented, will meet current realities. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
A break will do here on the news. We'll be back in a bit. We now tell you that South Africa's new unity government under President Cyril Ramaphosa was sworn in on Wednesday, the first of its kind in the country after 30 years of rule by the African National Congress. On Sunday, Ramaphosa unveiled his highly anticipated coalition government, which includes the leader of the former main opposition party, and sees the number of ministries rise from 30 to 32. There are also 43 deputy ministers. This party, which has governed since the advent of democracy in 1994, sought to form a government of national unity after losing its outright parliamentary majority in the May 29 elections. The storied party, which won just over 40% in the poll, keeps 20 cabinet positions, including foreign affairs, finance, defense, justice, and police.
Government of National Unity is to consolidate on the things that we were doing in the past, but make sure that, again, because there will be expectations that there must be new things, there must be further development. But I'm fortunate that I was in the previous government, so I know exactly where the challenges, where the gaps are, and to work with the new team to say how do we support the department to be able to perform optimally.
People into employment and being able to grow the economy. I intend to turn the agriculture sector into a growth area, both growing output, improving crop yields, but also growing international markets for South African products, and being able to ensure that South African farmers, particularly emerging farmers, are supported so we can take them from being small emerging farmers to big commercial.
In the meantime, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa and his U.S. counterparts Joe Biden have committed to advancing the relationship between the two countries. According to South Africa's presidency, the two leaders held a telephone conversation on Tuesday evening. The presidency said Biden congratulated Ramaphosa on both his re-election as president and the successful formation of the government of national unity. Meanwhile, Biden pledged that the U.S. will work closely with the 7th administration in South Africa on key areas, including economic growth, job creation, social development, and climate change, as well as South Africa's presidency of the G20 in 2025. He also confirmed that he would visit South Africa and participate in the G20 meetings. Prime Minister Gary Conil says a second contingent of the Kenya-led multinational policing mission in Haiti will arrive in the coming weeks. Haiti has long been rocked by gang violence, but conditions sharply worsened at the end of February when armed groups launched coordinated attacks in Port-au-Prince, saying they wanted to overthrow then Prime Minister Ariel Henry. The first batch of some 200 Kenyan police officers, part of a mission greenlit by the UN Security Council, arrived in June in a bid to work with Haitian police to stabilize the country. Gangs control some 80% of the capital. The Prime Minister declined to detail how many officers might arrive in the next wave, citing security concerns.
Pour le moment, c'est que ça va se faire très vite. On prévoit déjà dans les prochaines semaines qu'on aura un deuxième contingent et ceci de manière progressive. Sur les chiffres exacts, pour le moment, évidemment, pour la question sécurité, je n'en parle pas, mais je peux déjà vous assurer qu'il y a une bonne planification qui se fait pour pouvoir progressivement renforcer la présence des contingents qui sont déjà sur le territoire.
Still ahead on the news. Former UK Prime Minister makes surprise appearance at Tory campaign. We'll bring you details of this and the rest of the stories in a short while. Do stay with us. From other continents, we tell you that on the penultimate day of campaigning in the UK's general election, former Prime Minister Boris Johnson made a surprise appearance for the first time in support of current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Sunak was a member of the group which helped remove Johnson from power following the Partygate scandal, in which he was found to have broken his own COVID lockdown rules. Until now, in the campaign, Johnson had only supported individual candidates via video messages. Speaking at the event in London, he says he came back to warn against a Labour Party supermajority.
I was glad when Rishi asked me to help. Of course I couldn't say no. And I'm here for one reason and one reason only, which is the same reason as all of you, all of us are here. We're here because we love our country. And whatever our differences, they are utterly trivial by comparison with the disaster we may face if these so-called opinion polls are right. None of us can sit back as a Labour government prepares to use a sledgehammer majority to destroy so much of what we have achieved, what you have achieved.
Well, first of all, I've got to thank Boris for being here. Thank him for his support. Isn't it great? Isn't it great to have our Conservative family united, my friends? Yeah! Now, Boris is right to say now is the time for all Conservatives to come together to deny Labour that supermajority that Keir Starmer craves. We have 48 hours to save Britain from the danger.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has held talks with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif ahead of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Astana. Sharif said Russia is very kind to promote cooperation in the energy field, adding that Pakistan has received a shipment of oil for which it is grateful. Putin touched down in the Kazakh capital of Astana on Wednesday morning for the summit, a Beijing-led regional bloc that covers Central Asia, India and Iran. Moscow and Beijing have deepened their political, military and economic ties since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. The 34th SCO summit will take place on July 4 in Kazakhstan.
Of course, on my request, you're very kind to promote cooperation in the field of energy, and we received shipment of oil from your great country, and I'm very grateful for that. But we really need to further move in this direction.
Начались поставки наших энергоносителей в Пакистан, и мы готовы к их увеличению. По вашей просьбе Россия старается вносить свой вклад и обеспечение продовольственной безопасности Пакистана. Мы увеличиваем поставки зерновых на пакистанский рынок. Отношения между нашими странами развиваются и развиваются в деловом, дружеском ключе. Отмечаю рост товарооборота, и перспективы здесь у нас очень неплохие. На два направления обратил бы особое внимание. Прежде всего, это сотрудничество в области энергетики и агропромышленного бизнеса. Наши отношения носят такой дружественный характер и развиваются на протяжении десятилетий. Мы этому очень рады, и я надеюсь, что и наша сегодняшняя встреча послужит делу дальнейшего укрепления двухсторонних связей между Пакистаном.
Talking business now. In an attempt to renegotiate the terms of a historic deal, South Africa pledged to reduce its dependency on coal in return for financing. President Cyril Ramaphosa's administration is pressing for a renegotiation of an agreement with Climate Investment Funds, an organization affiliated with the World Bank, to shut down 3 coal-fired power facilities in the upcoming years. government advisors claim that these ESCOM-owned and operated plants rank among the worst pollutants in the nation. The President's Office department in charge of the project is requesting that the government of South Africa adopts an adjusted approach to the program, with the decommissioning date for 3 power stations moved to the end of March 2030. Now, during the 5-month period leading up to May 2024, foreign portfolio investors in Nigeria's equities market withdrew 267.47 billion naira, while they invested 190.82 billion naira. This outflow, in the 5-month period to May represents a significant increase compared to the same period in 2023, when these FPIs brought in 49.30 billion naira, but withdrew 50.04 billion naira. This raises the question of whether this indicates a growing market or one that is gradually moving towards distress. The consistent selling of stocks by foreign investors in the Nigerian stock market over the past few months has resulted in a decrease in overall capital in the market. Vincent Oshoma, a securities dealer at Midpoints Capital Limited, shared his thoughts on whether this trend is a cause for concern during an appearance on the Business Edge show.
If you look at the trend months from year to date, you understand that there have been an improvement from around March. If you compare the figures for March, you have had more inflows than outflows. But when you look at January to February, those are some of the reasons why you see the deficit in terms of the inflows and the outflow. But when you look at specific figures for March and April, and also for May, you are seeing an improvement. Because for a long time, the foreign investors have been on the sideline in respect to our market. So the local investors have been dominating the market. From around the time where we saw the CBN increase rates and also achieve some level of stability in the forex market, we have seen them coming into the Nigerian market. First of all, they came into the fixed income market, and they have also been entering the equities market. And as we see there, we see investors coming in with respect to the stability in the market. So you expect some outflow for those that have been in the market looking for opportunities to exit the market. So that's why we can see there has been some outflow. But month by month, you can see there have been a lot of improvement with respect to foreign investors coming to our market.
Oil prices are at a 2-month high due to tensions in the Middle East and concerns about the Atlantic hurricane season. Brent crude is trading near $87 with a 1.9% increase on Monday, while West Texas Intermediate is over $83. Hurricane Beryl's landfall raises worries about the severity of this year's hurricane season. And these factors, along with OPEC Plus supply cuts and increased summer travel, drive the upward trend in oil prices. However, concerns about China's economic recovery may limit further gains. Nigeria struggles with production quotas, while Angola's oil sector is set to be booming. Esther Otusonya, a senior investment analyst at Meristem Securities, shared thoughts on the revenue boost for Nigeria and Angola from higher oil prices.
Revenue serve as the main buffer to their, booster to their GDP. And but for Nigeria, we see that generally, really, oil price isn't something that is in control. It's within the control of the country or the government of a particular country. So more focus should really be on production outputs rather than oil prices. And I think for the budget forecast for these countries, they must have forecasted for Nigeria and Angola, they must have forecasted a particular range for crude oil prices. And the best thing to do really is to expect lower crude oil prices rather than budgeting for higher crude oil prices. And I think for Nigeria, it was around $7.96 per barrel was budgeted for 2024. So I think oil prices have really been around this level. So since it is not looking to fall anytime soon, we expect maybe a further increase. It's actually something positive for them, for both countries, for Nigeria and Angola, saying that it means that the shortfall in, for Nigeria, the shortfall in the oil production output would be, would be supported by the increase in oil price.
We also tell you that BHP's attempted acquisition of Anglo American highlights the global competition for critical minerals like copper and lithium. These minerals have seen increased mergers and acquisition activities due to their importance in the green economy. Despite rising production, top mining companies faced a 7% revenue drop in 2023 with declining commodity prices and rising mining costs. Andres Rousseau, PwC Africa Energy Utilities and Resources leader, discussed potential strategies for African mining companies to reduce costs and increase earnings.
We are in a competitive environment, and therefore the cost is what the cost is. Mining companies can manage their costs, and they need to manage that cost by being more efficient. And quite often technology plays a nice big role in getting more efficient into the production space of it, in the mining space of it. So mining companies are investing a lot in new tech, artificial intelligence as an example, data techniques, other efficiency tools, automated machines and the like, in order to improve the efficiency of what they do. That's the only way that we can reduce costs. On the pricing side, mines are price takers. If prices are too low, then the reality is that those mines will close. And it will reduce supply and prices will go up again to incentivize that production to come back on stream. So mining companies have to operate within the confines of what they have. It's a very global industry, and therefore the countries that can deliver the best enabling environments, in other words, that can make it as efficient as possible for mining companies to operate there, will have a benefit.
In sports, Lagos is set to host the annual general meeting of the Nigeria Premier Football League, focusing on preparations for the upcoming 2024-2025 season starting on August 31, 2024. Ahead of this kickoff date, several clubs have received directives to address deficiencies in their facilities to comply with the club licensing regulations. The NPFL communicated to these clubs via a letter highlighting issues such as substandard playing surfaces and the absence of essential broadcast infrastructure like elevated camera stands. Among the clubs instructed to undertake remedial works are Abia Warriors, Sunshine Stars, Shooting Stars, Kwara United, along with Niger Tornadoes, Plateau United, and newly promoted El Kanemi Warriors. Failure to meet these requirements could result in the necessity of relocating their matches to alternative venues. Rulani Mokwena has left his role as coach of Mamelodi Sundowns by mutual consent. The club confirmed on Wednesday in a major shock in South African football. Mokwena had a 4-year contract with the Brazilians and had only just finished the first year, during which he won a 7th successive league title, his 4th overall with the team in the past 4 years. A clash between Mokwena and Sundowns sporting director Fleming Burge is said to be the reason the highly rated 37-year-old's departure. Sundowns have announced that Mankoba Umgiti, who was Mokwena's first assistant, will continue preparing the team for the coming season. The Brazilians are expected to announce a new head coach before the start of the 2024-2025 campaign. French gymnast Eric Poujadi, Olympic silver medalist on the pommel horse at the Sydney Olympics in 2000, died last weekend, aged 51, the French Gymnastics Federation announced on Wednesday. Poujadi also took silver on the pommel at the 1994 and 1997 World Championships and won both pommel and team gold at the 1998 European Championships in St. Petersburg. The federation said Poujadi had left his mark on the history of the discipline but gave no cause of death. He took silver in Sydney behind Romania's Marius Urzica, ending a 16-year medal drought for France's gymnasts at the Olympics. Philippe Varton won bronze in the floor discipline in Los Angeles in 1984. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we take a look at some of our top stories. Commuters stranded as heavy downpour floods Lagos State. South Africa inaugurates government of national unity. We also told you that Egypt's new government takes oath of office before President Al-Sisi. You can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on your screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekan Onanbanjo.